Shalom, peace and blessings. Welcome to the Fourth Angels Learning Center. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Today, we're going to be continuing our Fruit of the Spirit study. And today we're on the spirit of meekness, the spirit of meekness. We have some interesting information, if everybody didn't know already, about meekness. It's very important that we understand this fruit because there's so much false ideas of what being meek and humble is. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a few verses. We're going to look at the meaning of the word, and we're going to start with Galatians chapter 5, just to look at the word, okay? So let's go to Galatians. Let's go to Galatians chapter 5. We're going to look at verse 23, I think. All right, 23, and it says meekness, right? Let's see if I could get the Greek. It comes from G4236, and it says gentleness, but it's not talking about gentleness as like the fruit that we just brought up, but gentleness as in an attribute, like a physical attribute. It says humility most of all. So the gentleness, let's look at this word. It comes from G4235, which means to be gentle or humble. So it's talking about your disposition. It's also mildness, right? Mildness, like a person who's not easily to be angered, a person that's not easily to be disturbed. This is very important to the character of Yah. This is something that a lot of us have to really surrender to. And I'm saying surrender to because I don't want anybody to get the idea that this is some type of work that you got to build up, some type of fruit of the spirit power, or you have to exercise and then you can develop these fruit yourself. No, this is a surrender thing. The more that you surrender to Yah, the more that you submit to Yah, and the more that you lower yourself, is the more that he can put inside of you this actual fruit. He can grant you that peace that you have inside that will help you to be firm in controlling how you respond. So let's look at a few verses pertaining to meekness. Let's go to Colossians. This is very important, just to have this disposition, to have this manifestation, because remember, the fruit is something that others partake in. It's not only something that's inside of you, it's something that is manifested. So Colossians chapter 3, looking at verse 10 to 13, and it says, having put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. It says, where there is neither Greek nor Jew, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian, Scythian, bond nor free, but Messiah is all and in all. Put on, therefore, as the elect of Elohim, love and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind. This is all these things is connected. Meekness, long suffering, humbleness of mind, and meekness. Let's look at that word real quick. I just want to make sure that we simplify to the point where it doesn't go over nobody's head. Everybody can go home and read it themselves. Nobody has to depend on anyone else. So humiliation of mind, humbleness of mind, lowliness of mind. And this word meekness, of course, is a characteristic of humility. So this right here it derives from this meekness. Your mind, your thoughts. You're not having exaltating thoughts over another person. You're not having despising thoughts towards another person, because you are not only you are lowering yourself, but you are humbling yourself, humbling your mind, your thoughts towards Yah. You're allowing Yah you're looking yourself according to the way that Yah looks at you. And you are establishing yourself as a person of need. And that you are, even though you may be in a leadership position, that you look at another person and always recognize your need for Yah, that you may understand their need as well. So when a person is acting a certain way, that you can humble yourself. You can humble yourself in that situation and respond as a person that's in need, that person may recognize and respond. This is something that's very interesting to me, because this meekness is a very important attribute, and it quenches certain situations and scenarios There's even a verse in the book of Proverbs where it talks about a soft answer turns away wrath. A soft answer turns away wrath. So it's like when you respond in a humble way, rather than your mind desiring to exalt over the person yelling at you or the person treating you a certain way, you don't need to tower over them or conquer them. You have to demonstrate the things that Yah tells you to demonstrate in order to glorify who Yah is, not who that person is. Let's look at another verse, right? It says here in verse 13, forbearing one another, forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Messiah forgave you, so also you do. So it's like, this is so important that the demonstration that you give to others has to be based off of the demonstration that Messiah showed to you. This is what allows you to stay in a humble position of mind, that you may be able to display the fruit of humility and forgiveness. You know, when he says, Father, forgive them for they know not what they do, that's a very important statement, because he could have, like he said in the Garden of Gethsemane, he could have called 12 legions of angels down if he wanted to, but he did not. Instead, he desired himself to be taken so that way others can be free from sin. And this is the mindset. Love your neighbor as you yourself is loved. We could go check that video out. I think that's a very important video as well. It's a love your neighbor video. And what we do in that video is break down how it doesn't say love your neighbor as you love yourself. It says love your neighbor as yourself. And it's referring to as yourself is loved, not as you love yourself. Many people don't know how to love themselves. So why would Yah be asking you to love yourself, love others the way that you love yourself? Many people love themselves too much. Many people spoil themselves. Yah is not trying to tell you to spoil other people. He's trying to tell you to love them the way that you are loved by Yah. The way Yah loves you, sacrifices himself for you, gives himself for you. This is what he wants you to do for others. So this is the humbleness of mind, is to keep your mind at a place where it's not exalting over another, ready to conquer them or take over them or even destroy them. It's to keep your mind focused on your need and your desire. Let's look at a few more verses. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 4, which talks similar to the what the book of Colossians talk about. It says here, I therefore, the prisoner of the master, beseech you that you walk worthy of your calling, where you were called, worthy of your calling, with all lowliness and meekness, with long suffering, forbearing one another in love, fighting or endeavoring to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. So it says here that the walk to find yourself worthy, this is where it brings up the value of this humility. This humility it allows you to walk worthily in your calling, to try to move in a self-exaltation mentality, in a prideful mentality, in a I'm better than you mentality. It's not worthy of the calling that Yah is calling you to move in. It does not perpetuate the demonstration that Yah wants you to demonstrate for other people. It does not fuel you to do to others the way that Messiah did to you. It does not. It does not. You can look at all these groups. They can say, I love you all day long. The moment that they feel some type of way because of their already self-exalting mind, they will respond with hatred and despising, and they would move you out of the way if they need to. There's no sacrifice with a mind that is built on exalting themselves. This is extremely important because that's manifested. That's going to manifest. This is how you walk worthy of the calling that you were called, with all lowliness, right? All lowliness and meekness. If this is not in this, if this is not in display, or if this is not in place, then you cannot walk worthily in your calling. You cannot be exalting in your mind and then be long suffering. It's impossible. These fruit connect to one another. You cannot forbear in love and not have meekness towards your brother, meaning humility. Because you may have to lower yourself. You may have to allow someone to yell at you for a moment. You may have to allow someone to get that frustration off their chest so they can get back to their right mind, so you can give them words of wisdom. But if you're not humble, then you'll be swift to respond with like vengeance. And this is how we are responding in everyday life. You know, somebody cut us off, somebody steps in front of us, somebody bumps into us, steps on our sneakers, whatever it may be. There has to be a humbleness of mind to respond in a better way, to respond in a way that will manifest that you are worthy to walk according to the way that Yah called you to walk. That you have surrendered yourself to the things necessary to do what Yah wants you to do, to live the way Yah wants you to live. Let's go to let's look at an example of this. Let's go to, let's see, I think it's in Numbers. I think the Numbers chapter 12. Look at what it says, and then we're gonna see how Yah demonstrates this. Look, so it says, now Moses was very meek. It says, above all the men which were upon the face of the earth. He was meeker. He was more meek than anyone on the face of the earth. And there was an issue. Let's go back to verse 1. Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses, right? Against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman that he had married, because he had married an Ethiopian woman. And they said to him, did Yah only speak by Moses? Did he not also speak by us? You see that? Exalting themselves to a position that Yah was revealing. Yah reveals who he ordains and who he puts in what position or where, you see? And Moses didn't put himself in this position. He tried to run away from it in the very beginning. So you see here that Miriam is speaking in a manner that she's trying to put herself in a position that Moses received from Yah. By Yah volunteering this or ordaining this position to Moses. So now that after all of these things is done, now I should be in this position. This is a satanic mindset. It was the angels that left their first estate. It was the angels that was not content in their original position. And it was that same mindset that Satan is trying to perpetuate inside the minds of the people. To self-exalt yourself, to not be humble in mind. So it says, now the man Moses was very meek above all the men upon the face of the earth. So why did it say that after it shows this argument, right? How do you think, if Moses is the humble of mind, why does Yah have to intervene? Because Moses is not going to approach his sister in a certain way. Even though his sister is approaching him in that way, he was not going to approach her in that way. He was going to approach her in a humbleness of mind. And this just shows you that when you have a humbleness of mind, then Yah defends you himself. It says, Yah spake suddenly to Moses and Aaron and to Miriam, and he says, come out, you three, to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the three came. Yah came down in a pillar of the cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle, and he called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. Right? And he said, hear my words. If there's going to be a prophet among you, I, Yahuwah, will make myself known to him in a vision, and I will speak to him in a dream. My servant Moses is not that way. He is the most faithful in all my house. With him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, not in dark speeches, and the similitude of Yah shall he behold. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? Why were you? If you see what I'm doing with him, why are you not afraid to speak against what I'm doing with him? And the anger of Yah was kindled against him, and he departed in the cloud from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam was leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous. Aaron said to Moses, my master, I beg you, lay not this sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, wherein we have sinned. Now, think about this. Moses is the meekest in all the earth. How is he going to respond finding out that Miriam is trying to like underhand him and exalt herself into the same position that Yah has given to Moses? How is Moses going to respond to that attitude? Aaron says, let her not be one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed, that he came out of his mother's womb. So look at what Moses cries out. Moses cries unto yahuah, saying, heal her now, O Elohim, I beg you. So his response is not, you're going to get what you need to get. Instead, his response is for Yah to heal the very woman that is speaking, undermining, exalting herself against him. This is how Yah wants us to respond. This is the demonstration of the fruit that Yah wants us to come out when we're dealing with these type of characteristics in other people. Let's look at another example from Moses, since he's the meekest in all the earth. He's the greatest, one of the greatest examples. Exodus 32, looking at verse 32. Now remember, it's not the greatest that ever lived, the greatest that was on the earth at that time. This is during the time of Moses. Doesn't mean that others have not come with the same meekness. You know, Messiah came on this earth, John the Baptist. So we got to keep everything in context. Exodus chapter 32. Look at this. Look at this scenario, right? Moses returned to Yah and said, oh, this people have sinned a great sin and have made them gods of gold. He says, yet now, if you will forgive their sin, and if not, blot me out, I beg you, out of your book, which you have written. Blot me out. You see that? So he's now sacrificing himself. He is doing what Messiah would do. When he says that Yah said to Moses, whosoever have sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. So this offer is just a demonstration of how Moses thought about his people. But not only how Moses thought about his people, how Yah thought about his people. You know, so it's very, 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 very important that we understand this demonstration of humbleness. Let's go to one more in the Torah. Let's go to Numbers. I love reading about the demonstration of this character so we can understand how this fruit is manifested. Numbers chapter 16, looking at verse 41 to 50. So, and we'll close with this. It says this. It says, but on the morrow, all the congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron. And they said, you have killed the people of Yah. So they murmured, the whole congregation. And it came to pass that when the congregation gathered against Moses and against Aaron, that they looked toward the tabernacle of the congregation, and behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of Yah appeared. Moses and Aaron came before the tabernacle of the congregation, and Yah spoke to Moses, saying, listen to what he says in verse 45, get you up from among this congregation, so I can consume them in a moment, right away. Then they fell on their faces. The meaning when they fall on their faces, it means that they are falling on their faces with remorse. So whenever you see a person falling on their faces, falling on their face with reverence and remorse. It says here, Moses said to Aaron, take the censer, put it in the fire from off the altar, put on the incense, go quickly into the congregation, and look what he's saying to do. Make atonement for them. For there is wrath gone out from Yah, and the plague is begun. What do you mean? What did it say here? It says here the congregation started to murmur against Israel, And then it says that the congregation was gathered against them, meaning that they came out to get Moses and Aaron. And this is what Moses says. Let's make an atonement for them. Let's make an atonement for them. Aaron took, and as Moses commanded, and then they ran into the midst of the congregation. And behold, the plague already started, right? The plague already started. The plague already started. And he says, and he put on the incense and he made an atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. Now they that died in the plague was 14,700, besides that died because of the situation with Korah. Right? That was another situation in which people went against Moses and Yah defended him. Verse 50, Aaron returned to Moses into the door of the tabernacle of congregation, and the plague stopped. Very important. The response when others are doing these things, there's an understanding that they're only doing these things as a detriment to themselves. They're not hurting you by being mean to you, by trying to exalt you, by trying to take over you. They're not doing anything to you. It says, if Yah is by our side, who can be against me? What can men do to me? But they're, because of their deception, they're deceived that they can actually do something to you. So when they approach you, when you respond in a humbleness, desiring for them to be saved, desiring for them to be delivered from this mindset, because of that, if danger approaches, Yah will defend you. This is a beautiful point that I've seen happen in my life many times. I'm not a person to allow danger to come in close proximity to me. But in practicing this humility and allowing people to take advantage of me or get over on me, I've seen Yah bless us. I've seen Yah bless me, my wife, and my family. I've seen Yah defend me. I've seen Yah increase us, showing that the things that people try to steal from us or take from us or manipulate out of us is nothing for Yah to restore that back to me. We have to keep in mind, our mind humble, so that way people can see that fruit and look at themselves and see that shame and feel that shame for the things that they've done against you and turn to Yah. But we have to also be humble to see the same people that was against us and assist them in turning to Yah as well. If we have the opportunity, don't force yourself on anybody. Absolutely not. But if you see someone that hurt you, that was against you, and they now desire to turn to Yah, show them that humility. If the strength of Yah is in you to do so, show them that humility and allow them to see Yah's true character towards them. So praise Yah. This is an ultimate characteristic of Yah, especially of him humbling himself, the Messiah humbling himself. Philippians chapter 2 talks about the humility of Messiah when he left his first estate just to come down to save us. He left his majesty and all of that stuff, and just showing how Yah deals with us in humility, how we exalt ourselves as Elohim to ourselves, and then how he's still humble and waits for us, how he's still humble and forgives us. So praise Yah for his mercy. I look forward to the next study. Shalom.